think I can.
Hey there, Jared Jones, and I've got a great cash flow property. You may or may not know that we deal with co-living property management, which is co-living is where you take a property and instead of having that house rented out by one person, you take and you rent it out door by door. So in most cases, nearly every case, we're renting out to 6 to 8 paying participants for a single house. Okay. So as you can imagine, when you do that, you have a lot more revenue. And I'll show you a comparison. But this particular property I'm going to share with you today, I'm going to go through everything that you need to know about the property. Okay. It is a corporate owned property. Okay. So that's obviously why I'm sending it to you. And this is a property that a corporation's holding that obviously they want to get rid of. Much like a bank, think of it that way, but it's a holding company that's selling the property. This particular property is off of University Boulevard and Dean Road. And if you look at the map, UCF campus is right here. It's literally like 2 blocks away. You cross Dean and then you cross Rouse Road. And again, we're not bent on renting this out to college tenants. And it may even be people that work on campus. But basically the goal would be to lease it out to folks who live and work in the area. The co-living idea that you probably are aware of comes out of the fact of the huge demand in Central Florida for people who live, they're single working occupants with clean records, high credit scores, in most cases, great paying jobs. We rent to qualified individuals. And we have incredibly high income return on these particular properties. They rent out very quickly. It's not uncommon for when a room to turn over, it's replenished in a day or two. But let me get into the numbers, okay? That's the overview of the property. Let me show you the financials on this particular property. So this particular home will be purchased most likely at $355,000. Again, we will probably try to get it for less. But in all likelihood, the sale price will end up on this one at $355,000. I'm running the numbers that as a person qualifying for a second home purchase. So a second home purchase or non-owner occupant, like you're not buying it to live in full time, and running the numbers at a 10% down payment, showing a going average rate of interest at 3.75% to run these numbers. But $355,000, 8 paying rooms, running them at $700 per room, which is very realistic. The net revenue, okay, so considering all the costs involved from the management fees to the utility costs and managing the house, would be a net per month of $2,028. Okay. And then obviously, let me show you some things on the profitability side over here, particularly on the expense category. There's going to be things like mowing the yard, the water bill, the power bill, cleaning every month, the common areas. I'll go and have these discussions with you on a one-on-one basis if this is the property for you. But basically, this covers all the costs. Now, when you have separate rooms being leased out on the property, there are going to be situations where you're not separating the power bill and all that. You just basically charge them a flat fee, and then we are covering it as your management company. So we cover everything. So literally, we deal with all the tenant concerns. We deal with bringing in new tenants when it has to be turned over, and we manage the house. Okay, doing everything. This is a net after all those costs. This is considering an estimation for mortgage, an estimate for your monthly insurance bill, all those kinds of things. The monthly net after costs will be $2,028 after a mortgage, putting 10% down. So the other thing that I want you to know about is also factoring in approximately $25,000 in renovation costs, which I'm going to go over that with you in a minute. And I'm pretty good at figuring these out on the fly, because obviously when you are going and setting up the house for a maximum amount of rooms, we're making sure that that we have a budget in there to put up the walls and things that we need to separate the rooms the right way and have all the infrastructure put in to do room by room. So 25,000 is what I would estimate for budget. I'll come back to that as well on how that works and how you can know you have, assurance in the process that we're within budget on a house that you're buying. Now, in this particular property, if you were to rent it out traditionally, okay, so you're to buy this house, $355,000, you would lease it out. The going rate for the house I'm going to show you is $2,550. I looked at the comps. The management fee would be $220 a month, repair bids, a repair budget, let's say $45 for just small repairs that go on. And then the mortgage payment, you'd have a cash flow of $376 on the same house. Over here, non-traditional cash flow is $2,028, which is 600% higher. All right. So let me go into the house. Now, a second ago, I showed you all the details on the property as an overview. Now, this property is, again, over by UCF. It's 2,200 square feet. The asking price is $355,000. Okay. The most recent resale of an identical home, well, laid out the same way. It's actually the most recent sale in this neighborhood sold for $351,000. So a little less for a house that's 200 square foot smaller, but it still was a 2-story home. If you look at the front of it, it's very similar in how it looks to this house. So a very good comparison property. This particular property is 4 bedrooms currently with 3 full baths. Okay. Let me walk you through the interior of the property and show you the process. Okay. Number one, I've reviewed all the disclosure on the property that I have already. And this roof is 17 years old. Okay. Not a problem. 17-year-old roof is it's not a big deal, provided we get money from the seller to deal with it. Okay. So in the process of the home inspections, we are going to hit the seller, knowing what the roof will cost, and have them credit you the money. Okay. That has to happen or we will not buy the house. Okay. But a 17-year roof, what'll happen is that roof is going to cost probably $13,000 or $14,000 to replace. I will get bids for that in advance. Might be a little bit more, but it should be right in that neighborhood. I'll get bids for that during the home inspection period. And then we would hit the seller for that credit. Say, hey, we need to get this credit. This can be a problem. This corporation is going to recognize that, and they're going to work with us on it, in my opinion. And again, if they don't, we don't buy the house. But the point is, when it comes time to buy the house, one of the inspections that we will do will tell the insurance company the age of the roof and how much future time it has. If the roof has more than 3 years of time left, you do not have to replace it now. Now, I'm going to get you the money to replace it in the negotiation process. However, you do not have to replace it up front. If the inspection that we do on the roof, which is called a 4-point inspection, you might have heard of it in Florida, wind mitigation is another one. If that report comes back where it has more than 3 years, then the insurance provider will cover the insurance and you won't have to replace it right away. But either way, if you have to replace it right away or replace it down the road, we're going to get the coverage for it. Okay. So we're going to get the credit from the seller, or we will not buy the house. And again, we want to ask for that during the home inspection period. We want to get them negotiated up front. All right, let's talk about the house. The house is going to have 4 bedrooms added downstairs. Okay. We've got 2 different options to do that. As you can see in this photo, there's a huge room right here on the left side of the screen. I believe that there's an option to put 2 rooms right here. And then another one in the back of the house. Okay. So look at this, another viewpoint, right where you see my hand. If you were to walk in the front door right here on this hallway, you would be able to basically either go straight into the kitchen or turn left. There'll be a hallway right here, a doorway for a bedroom here, and then an entrance to this back room here. So there'll be a wall here, right where you see the mouse, a wall here, basically a hallway that will basically create these into rooms. Now, everything is done for the most part as temporary as possible. So if you ever want to reverse the house, it could be sold as a normal property in the future. It would not be a problem at all. So the kitchen's already in really great shape. You can see in the foreground there, that will be bedroom number 4 on the other side of the stairs. There's plenty of bathrooms in this home, which is great. More than enough bathrooms to serve the amount of bedrooms that we're talking about. The rest of the house is in really good condition. Bathrooms, I think, were not as updated as the kitchen. but I don't ever update bathrooms on the first year until the first year. So let the property cash flow $25,000 in year one, and then deal with the deal with any of those kind of modifications. Maybe in year two, invest $3,000 in a bathroom. This is actually an additional room in the back. This is when I said there's two ways to do the 4 bedrooms. This could actually be another room with dropping in air conditioning in the back. I would think it's going to be better suited to have all the rooms in the front of the house, not use that back patio space. So, but the thing is whichever makes the most sense structurally, and once we get the bids done on the house. Which brings me to the point of how does the process work safely? Okay, so here's how it works. Number one, at the beginning, you're just bidding on the house. As you know, the Florida real estate market is incredibly hot, which means sellers are getting a lot of action on their homes. We would come in, negotiate on the property first thing. So we come in and actually make the offer to the seller, which I would come in at like 345. They're asking 355, but I would come in at about 345. I think that this seller will probably go 345, 350 on the sale price. However, when we come into time where we want to ask them for to cut a big check for the roof, we might still have to go up a little bit on the price to so the point I'm making is we might have to say, hey, Mr. Seller, we will give you list price for your house. However, we want you to give us $14,000 to cover the roof. So essentially what you're saying is I'll give you full price, but now that I know the roof is, the age and how it's conditioned and all the future that it has, I want you to give me the money to basically replace the roof. In the confines of the contract, the offer that we make, you're going to have the ability to have a 10-day inspection period in which at that time frame, we're going to get the home inspected thoroughly, get the roof reviewed. We're going to get 2 bids from a contractor to do all these changes and make sure that it fits within the budget of what I showed you on the numbers. Okay. So what would happen is we'd break down the numbers cost. I would not tell any contractor, obviously, what my budget is. But I would take 2 different contractors with the same exact scope of work, and they would basically come in and get everything bidded on the property for us and making sure it comes in under $25,000. But let me talk real numbers on this. If you're qualified for a 10% down loan, okay, then obviously that's simple math. It's 35,000 down, 36,000 down, and then 25,000 in renovation costs as an estimate. Ideally, we're coming in less than that. That's $60,000. You're going to have closing costs. Okay. So there's something to think about with that. Most lenders charge, with all the fees and things that are required buying a house, maybe 4%. So I would bargain for 70 to 75,000 in cash outlay to purchase this property. In return, you'd be buying a $2,000 a month projected owner net. Okay. With 25,000 expense, this should be rented. We should have this on the market to bring in income within 30 days. So from the date of close, we already have the bids. We already picked the vendor who's going to do the work. They hit the ground running the day we close. We should be bringing our first tenants through the property. First paying tenants should be approximately 30 days out. Okay. That's an overview of the whole process. This is an idealistic property for it. And to give you an idea, it's incredibly hard to find them. Scouring the market all over the place. They have to be able to facilitate parking. They have to have either a very innocuous homeowner association or 0 HOA. This one has a very small HOA that's practically doing nothing for the residents. It's just paying for the sign and the maintenance and things of that nature. There's not restrictive issues on the renting of the home. But as far as the process is concerned, that's the overview on this one. I'm sending this out to a couple folks that I think are interested in doing something like this. And if you are interested, if you have follow-up questions, these are hard to come by. So if this is the one for you, let me know. First come, first serve. I will go through any follow-up questions you have. The upfront process, you don't need any money out of your pocket to bid. You would need a pre-approval letter or proof of funds. I can get you to a great lender if you need one. And then we can formulate a bid, get that to the seller, and then most likely wouldn't hear from them until next week. And then we can kind of move through the steps. If they accept our offer, if we get to a number that we can agree on, we go into that inspection period, we get the contractor bids, we get the inspections underway, we start the negotiation for the roof, and then close, move forward from there, assuming everything checks boxes. All right, that's it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you real soon.